DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health. By integrating the comprehensive animal health product portfolio of Merck Animal Health with the innovative technologies of All-Flex Livestock Intelligence, we are shaping the future of animal health, resulting in more effective solutions and healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. We're going to have one of my dear friends and a great colleague, Dr. Dave Rethorst, here on the show. We're going to talk about getting your heifers ready for breeding season and getting them ready and developed. It's going to be a great show. Stay tuned.
Stressors that trigger bovine respiratory disease are all around. So when you spot BRD in your herd, turn to Zuprevo, the fast that lasts. Zuprevo is rapidly absorbed in as little as 45 minutes and lasts up to 28 days. Because in the race against BRD, you need to win. Ready, set, Zuprevo. In case of human injection, seek immediate medical advice. For use in beef and non-lactating dairy cattle only. For prescribing information, talk to your veterinarian or visit Zuprevo.com.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. Look who we got. We have one of our favorite guests. He's been on this show as many times as anybody. You and Casey Olson and maybe Chris Reinhardt are the three amigos that have really helped us so much, bring so much information into the living rooms of farmers, ranchers, veterinarians, and we really appreciate it, Dr. Dave.
Good to be here, my friend.
This is Dr. Dave Rethorst, and he's a veterinarian. He has Beef Health Solutions as his practice, and he is a member of PAC, Production Animal Consultation, and so am I. And we work together. We have worked together for many years.
Many years.
And
many years.
We've worked on so many programs on the farm, on the ranch, in the feedlot, in the packing plant. Dr. Dave's a wealth of knowledge. And today we're going to talk about something you have a passion for, which is developing heifers.
Right.
And so let's talk a little bit about, what are some of the goals when we develop heifers, goals and timelines that kind of come to bubble to the surface.
Okay. Well, first we have to start with the healthy calf at weaning.
Yep.
And then, we need to know approximately what those heifers weigh at weaning and look at where we want them to be when we start breeding. Typically we have developed heifers to 65% of mature cow weight before we start breeding. In today's age, that's awful expensive. We've done some work looking at 55% with a little flush right before we breed to get them to cycle, but we need to know where they're at on weaning, where we want to be when we breed, and then plan our nutrition program accordingly.
So help me understand then that while we look at that goal has shifted a little bit, or we're learning some of the gray areas of where we need to get these heifers.
Right. We've learned how to cheapen it up and still get those heifers to breed where we're getting 60-70% of them bred in that first cycle. And probably the most important thing, we get them to rebreed as a 2-year-old. I mean, we can get lots of heifers bred, but the key is let's develop them right so they rebreed as a 2-year-old.
And that's part of the reason too why we move them up a little bit, is to give them an extra cycle or an extra few 30 days or something of that.
Three to 4 weeks ahead of the cow, so we got a little heel up time.
Yeah, so that they can fit into there. So timing of when we breed them, so that they'll calve And obviously we want, you know, it's our best. It's if it's heifers we're retaining, it's our best genetics on the place, right?
Right.
And so we definitely want to get calves out of these
Right.
animals to propagate our herd.
Right. And we got to get them front loaded in as yearlings when they calve as 2-year-olds, so we can get them. We got to find out which ones want to be mama cows and which ones don't.
Those will be feeder heifers.
Those will be feeder heifers.
So we have just a bit of time here, but what are the things that are the things that drive you nuts about developing heifers?
The nutrition between weaning and when you want to breed them. Some people way overdo it. A few people in the middle do it right, and then you've got a subset that they don't give them enough calories. And I saw a set of heifers 3 weeks ago that they weren't going to meet target, and we had a heart on nutrition program.
So let's use that as our segue into the next segment. You're
Very
watching Doc Talk. We got Dr. Dave here. We'll be right back.
Bovolus Nasalgen 3 offers young calves unrivaled protection against devastating respiratory diseases, including IBR, PI3, and BRSV. And it has a unique blue shadow, so there's no second guessing which animals have been vaccinated. To up your protection, choose Bovolus Nasalgen 3 PMH, the first and only intranasal that protects against viral and bacterial pneumonia. Talk to your veterinarian and visit nasalgen.com to learn more.
When a new calf hits the ground, the clock starts ticking. A belly full of colostrum gives them their best chance, but if they don't get any, time starts running out. That's when you grab a bag of Oxford Ag Colostrum in their patented feeding system. It's simple. You fill it with warm water, shake it to mix, feed it with a tube or a nipple, and you are done. No bucket, no bottle, no mess, and right on time. Ask for it by name wherever animal health supplies are sold.
Success in the cattle business hinges on a lot of different people playing their part. From the vet to the cowboy and the nutritionist to the feed truck driver, you rely on them to get their job done right, and so do your cattle. Your expectations for the vaccines you use should be no different. Bimeta's cattle vaccines were developed and are made and sold by men and women in the cattle business. No smoke and mirrors, just real-world protection that you can rely on. Go to bimetabiologicals.com to learn more.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need, from prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Dave Rethorst. We're in Manhattan, Kansas, where Dr. Dave is a veterinarian running Beef Health Solutions, and he's a member of Production Animal Consultation, a veterinarian that sees a ton of cows. He sees a ton of feeder calves as well, and he's been a mentor for me and helped me learn quite a bit about practice and about being a veterinarian, and we're just tickled to death to have you.
Always good to be here, Dan.
So Dr. Dave, you said that getting them from weaning to that target weight is vital, and I know that you work with a lot of people, but let's just talk about it in general. You know, we all kind of have grass and we have hay and we have gluten or distillers and vitamins and minerals. Just kind of walk me through what you deal with routinely.
Well, we deal with a lot of feedstuffs, you know, and you got to help the people meet their goal, and you got to work with what they have on hand. And if they're prepared to feed a TMR, that's fine. We'll work with that. But we need to figure out how much they need to gain, like I said earlier, from weaning up to when we want to start breeding, and then plan accordingly. If we develop, as I said earlier, if we develop to 65%, you know, if we're feeding a TMR, that gets kind of expensive. There's been some good work by Dr. Rick Funston up at Gudmundson in Nebraska. Dr. Casey Olson's done some of the same work with the commercial cow-calf unit here at K-State, where they develop those heifers to 55%, again, using what they have. And then
And when you mean 55%, that's of their mature
of their
body.
mature body weight.
Right. So if you're going to have an 1,100 pound cow, you take that times 0.55 or 0.65, whatever your target is, and that's the weight you want those animals to be at that first breeding.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So didn't mean to interrupt, but I want to make sure that we get that.
We're on the same wavelength. Working with one operation in the state of Kansas that is really cool on their fall calving cows. They have their fall pairs on fescue,
Mm-hmm.
on improved grazing, and those calves don't see a bite of grain. They're born, they're on fescue.
And they hit their targets.
And they hit their targets. In our last segment, I'll share some really cool data, as to what we're getting done there. So it can be done with grazing, developing through weaning on grazing, but we've got to have the right feed.
But you're going to take that target weight, and then the number of days that you have to get them there, and so the average daily gain. Do you take check weights along the way?
Once in a while, but a lot of it's eyeball. It's eye of the master. If you've got somebody that's really good with husbandry,
But obviously, if you're weaning those heifers in the fall, and you're going to carry them through, you can utilize some crop residues, supplementation, hay, and things like that, correct?
Right. Yeah. On these spring calving cows, take those heifers and we can use hay and a little bit of protein and not very much energy. And they really only need to gain 1.5 pounds, 1.75 pounds. We don't need to push them hard if we just know what our targets are.
Saw one of the cool deals, and I know we got to go to break, but people weaning their heifers and then putting them back with their cows rather than keeping the heifers alone, so that the heifers can actually learn
how to eat
from the cows.
Right. Yep.
Pretty amazing. Anyway, wealth of information. We're going to take a break, and we come back more with Dr. Dave Rethorst.
When a new calf hits the ground, the clock starts ticking. A belly full of colostrum gives them their best chance, but if they don't get any, time starts running out. That's when you grab a bag of Oxford Ag Colostrum in their patented feeding system. It's simple. You fill it with warm water, shake it to mix, feed it with a tube or a nipple, and you are done. No bucket, no bottle, no mess, and right on time. Ask for it by name wherever animal health supplies are sold.
When it comes to treating BRD, you want a product that you can count on to get the job done at an affordable price. Macrocin by Bimeda delivers on both. A straight shooting, no BS tulathromycin that does what it's supposed to do. End of story. You don't need to take our word for it though. Go to macrocin.com for customer testimonials and head-to-head trial results. For your cattle and your bottom line, choose Macrocin.
For over 12 years, Dr. Dan has teamed up with veterinarians around the globe to bring timely, relevant cattle health and performance opportunities to you in an easygoing message. Coming up on the next DocTalk.
We're going to have Dr. Harold Newcomb here from Batesville, Mississippi, and we're going to talk about parasites, how we can prevent them, and what we do if we come across resistance with the products that we're using to prevent and control parasites.
Make sure to tune in Mondays, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific on RFD TV.
And we'll see you down the road.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need, from prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with my friend and colleague, Dr. Dave Rethorst, who's a veterinarian that runs his practice, Beef Health Solutions and Production Animal Consultation. Tremendous veterinarian for all aspects of the beef industry, a leader in our veterinary profession, and just tickled to have him on the show. We talked about getting these heifers developed, and then as we start to head into that breeding or that pre-breeding, we've got some shoot work to do to make sure that we've got the immune system and got them covered from all kinds of different diseases.
Right. And that all actually starts back when that fetus is in utero and mama, in the way we do our health program, and then, you know, what we do from that nursing calf vaccination as a baby calf up through weaning, all that's building to where we're starting, you know, to when we start breeding. But when we get ready to breed, we sure want a modified live IBR BVD in those heifers, and we want it 45 days out. We used to say 30, and I've bumped that out to 45 based on some of the work I've seen.
So we want the vaccine, the pre-breeding, the last one to be 45 days before breeding.
Yep.
Will we booster that? Will you do 2 rounds, or are we doing 1?
We're just doing 1 because in the herds I'm working with, that pre-breeding vaccination is actually the 4th modified live IBR BVD that those females see.
Because they got one at branding.
They got one pre-weaning, they got one at weaning, and so the one we're giving at 45 days is a booster.
Well, it's kind of like what we've learned with COVID, right? Every 6 months. So it kind of gets them handled that way too. So 45 days prior to breeding, we're going to give them the 5-way modified live viral. Anything else?
Naturally, we're doing a Vibrio lepto.
Okay.
And you know, some places are using a pink eye, and some places, depending on where you're at, we need to put a Clostridial in there, particularly when it's as dry as it has been in the Great Plains the last few years. We want to make sure we don't get into a Clostridial outbreak. But those Clostridial vaccines can be tough on the immune system. Our gram negatives, the endotoxins, can mess with conception rates, and so we want to get all of that 45 days out, so everything calms back down and ready to go.
So we get through the physiological response of what we used to term vaccine sweat.
Yes,
right.
Yes, exactly.
And let those heifers settle back down. We've got, and we learned that too with COVID, right?
Yeah.
You got that first dose, and everybody's like, "Woo!" I'm like, "Huh." It may have been a viral vaccine, but it was the immune system kicking in and working and getting that response.
Yeah, and these heifers go through the same thing. And if you've got heifers that have never seen an IBR vaccine before, you know, if you buy some heifers and no history, I'd take that out to 60 days for that. And then I'd probably boost it in there sometime. But
and the big thing is right, you know, like you and I are regional, work with your local vet.
Right.
Because he's seeing, don't just go into the farm store and start buying things off the shelves. That value of talking with your veterinarian of what is going on in your part of the world with other herds, endemic diseases, it can really save you some money.
Right.
Bring you big value, right?
Right. Yeah. And then when we get those heifers set up that way, once we get the preg check on those heifers, I've been switching to a attenuated modified live or a killed viral, and we're building better colostral immunity. And then those females are on that attenuated modified live or killed the rest of their life. Perfect. We don't go back to modified live.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I don't put a modified live in a cow or a bred heifer.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get into some data with Dr. Dave Rethorst. Thanks for watching.
I'm Dr. Les Anderson. I'm a beef extension specialist at the University of Kentucky. The Alertus on-farm test has the opportunity to completely change the industry. A producer is enabled and empowered to be able to take the sample and run the test or tests at their leisure without scheduling anybody. And honestly, reproduction is the thing that we measure the least, and it's the thing that dictates profitability the most. The Alertus on-farm test will help us to identify cows that get pregnant early. It'll improve our efficiency tenfold.
As a stocker operator, your job is to turn forage into profit. With the right implant, you can. Revlor G improves grazing performance for 150 days, the same length as the typical grazing period. and it's dosed for stockers' maturity levels, adding up to an extra 23 pounds. See why Revlor G is the #1 choice in stocker implants at RevlorG.com. A withdrawal period has not been established in pre-ruminating calves. Do not use in calves to be processed for veal.
It's the drive, the passion, the unbridled desire to be the world's greatest. It's the early mornings, late nights, and every hour in between spent grooming the next generation of champions. We're with you through the best times and the tough times. Seeing your horses through inevitable health scares and setbacks you never saw coming. Everything they deserve is here, delivered fast. We'll work hard for you so you can work hard for your dreams.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need. From prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Dave Rethorst. We're shooting this in Manhattan, Kansas, and where Dr. Dave runs his veterinary practice, Beef Health Solutions, and he is a veterinarian in production animal consultation. We have talked about developing these heifers. We've given you the target weights of 55, 65% of their mature body size. We've talked about vaccination and shoot work out there 45, 60 days pre-breeding. Now, you know, as we were discussing this, you kind of mentioned some data on some grazing animals on fescue. So let's talk a little bit about that.
I work with an operation in the Flint Hills. They've got a spring calving herd, fall calving herd. They're fall calving females, calve on fescue. They're AI'd on fescue. They run clear through the winter on fescue. There's usually a little time in there when the fescue runs out before they can go to native that those cows have to get a TMR. Those calves run native with mom till they're 11 months old. So they're coming off about a month before that cow's going to calve again. And then they'll graze for a while. The calves will graze a little while longer, and then when they're 12, 13 months old, they start getting some ration as they need to develop. Really cool system. The heifers, we just preg checked the heifers that were born in the fall of 21. Yeah. And those heifers, we had a 80% AI conception rate. AI first cycle conception rate of mid 80, low to mid 80%. Had 10% open. Fantastic breed up on the heifers.
When we do that, what are your typical numbers what would be your average?
Most times, like on these spring calving deals, and we're shooting for a 65% of mature body weight, we feel pretty good if we can get 65% of those bred AI first cycle.
Yeah.
But on this deal, we're finding out what cows want to be, or what females want to be there. The rest of them are going to the feedlot. A set of their heifers that was spring calving heifers that was preg checked in the summer of 22, those opens went immediately to the feed yard. Gained 4.5, converted 5.5, cost a gain of $1.28 when the yard average on gain was $1.43. We got them out of, and by the time they were 18 months old, 20 months old, they were gone. They were in the food chain.
I'll be damned. It's a good system, and it's one that works, and it's one that when you apply it to your farm or ranch, you add value to your cow herd. You add value and money, revenue to the bottom line.
Right.
Because you're able to make the decisions to where those are still feeder calves.
Right. It's about creating value.
Yep. Well, you've always done that. You've always created value for so many clients and so many people in the industry. We're just thankful to get you to sit still because you're on the move to come in here with us.
On the move.
Yeah.
On the move.
Folks, this is Dr. Dave Rethorst. Thanks for joining us today on the show. Remember, always work with your local veterinarian, and if you want to find out what we do on DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, here with my friend Dr. Dave Rethorst, and we'll see you down the road.
DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health. By integrating the comprehensive animal health product portfolio of Merck Animal Health with the innovative technologies of All-Flex Livestock Intelligence, we are shaping the future of animal health, resulting in more effective solutions and healthier animals.
For over 12 years, Dr. Dan has teamed up with veterinarians around the globe to bring timely, relevant cattle health and performance opportunities to you in an easygoing message. Coming up on the next Doc Talk.
We're going to have Dr. Harold Newcomb here from Batesville, Mississippi, and we're going to talk about parasites, how we can prevent them, and what we do if we come across resistance with the products that we're using to prevent and control parasites.
Make sure to tune in Mondays, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific on RFD TV.
And we'll see you down the road.